Moti.
Source of influencers.
Where did I get my knowledge of photography? I got it from, a lot of online classes. When I worked with LifeTouch, you go through training with that, and then there were certain guys that I worked with that I stayed in touch with and did different hints and stuff. And then the photographer that we worked with was super knowledgeable, and he gave a lot of information just while we were shooting with him on why the lighting was one way or why we had to set up lights this way and that way. But I also worked in a studio when I was with LifeTouch during the off season. So when school was out, I worked in a studio, and so I had to learn how to set up lights, what the flow and the process was of bringing it into a program, editing the photo, and then getting a printout to the client. So that was super knowledgeable, but really a lot of hands-on trial and error, a lot of like YouTube tutorials, and just asking a lot of questions, trying to get better.
Do you still get better?
I've got a long way to go. Yeah, I've got a long way to go. I still watch tutorials on different lighting techniques, on different editing techniques. I think I'll always be getting better. I hope I'm never to a point where I'm like, I'm so good I don't need to improve. It's not going to happen, And the styles change. If you look at my style 10 years ago, like you might see some similarities, but you also see a lot of differences. The time it takes for me to edit a photo has decreased a lot because tools have gotten better, but also how I edit my approach and what I'm looking for has also gotten better, right? So it's just like if you're learning to play soccer, when you first kick the ball, you're clumsy, you don't really have a lot of accuracy, you're not real good with trapping and some of the other skills. With photography, you're still a little clumsy, like learning how to set your aperture, learning how to set your ISO, learning to set your film speed, right? So shutter speed. There's so many different things that go into it. Learning when to use natural light, when to use synthetic light, when to put someone's back to the camera and shoot into the sun or shoot away from the sun, right? So there's so many different things that you're constantly learning and adjusting and getting better at, and then finding new and different ways to do it. And it's also fun to try different things. It's things that maybe people haven't tried, or maybe they haven't tried and I haven't seen it, but it's fun and creative for me to learn a new technique or to create something new. So it's part of the process. Yeah, it's part of the joy of it.
So you basically shoot girls?
I shoot girls and guys, but primarily girls. I'd say 95% girls, 5% guys. And part of that reason is my clientele on Instagram is mostly women. So I do get occasional guys once in a while, but since we're a social media based organization, my posts perform better when I post women than when I post men. But yeah, I've shot a lot of guys. Working with bodybuilding.com, we do the bodies of work, and that's an equal number of guys to girls. We've worked with most of the supplement companies out there at one time or another, and that was shooting mostly guys with that, and some girls. So, excuse me. Yeah, I definitely work with both. I'm not I don't have to shoot girls, I don't have to shoot guys. I like working with both. It's a different chemistry when you're shooting with a girl versus shooting with a guy. You have a different type of shoot, but it's fun either way,
What's the difference?
Male energy versus male-female energy. So just the difference in the rapport that you build, like a guy's buddy, and a girl is like, even though it's still like, buddy, for the most part, it's just a different dynamic. So, you kind of have to feel, everything is about energy, right? And so every photo that you take, like you want to have a good interaction, energy flow with that person, whether you're shooting with a girl or shooting with a guy, you want that energy flow to be kind of like seamless and positive and like uplifting, right? Empowering. And but it's just a different feel. It's just two different factors. Male energy versus female energy is just different.
What kind of camera equipment are you using?
I'm currently using 1D Mark IV with 50 millimeter Canon 1.2 L lens, and sometimes I use a Cameron 35 1.4 art lens, and every once in a while a 7200 Canon L 2.8 lens. That's most of the gear right now. I have a drone, Maverick Pro, that I use on occasion, and then as a team we have Sony A7 II R, and Lee also used the 1D Mark IV. Alan's using a Canon 1DX with an 85 millimeter lens, I think, maybe 2470 lens as well, I'm not sure. And then Lee's got like a 135, 85 mil, 50 mil, 35 mil, 7200. So, but for the most part, yeah, me personally, I use a 50 mil lens and the Canon 1D, Canon 5D Mark IV.
And why is that the one you chose?
What's that?
Why is that the one you chose?
Well, it's an interesting story, but I set my camera down. I had a 1DX that I was using and I loved, and I set it down to do some video, and I walked away from it, and when I went back, the camera was gone. And so I had to buy a new camera, and within my budget, the 5D Mark IV was the best, was my choice. You know, you stick with Canon because you have Canon lenses. Even if I didn't, I probably would still use, I really enjoy using the Canon. The 5D Mark IV does great video and it does great photos. It's good in low light, it's got a good dynamic range, it's fast, so there's a lot of good reasons to use a Canon. There's better cameras, there's worse cameras. It's mid-range, I'd say, for what I do.
So do you have a wish for a new camera, for better one? See, those are better ones.
I mean, I'd do a 1DX Mark II probably. It's just a faster, more durable camera, and you know, if I'm going to be subjecting it to more weather type conditions, that would be good. But it's also a heavier camera; it weighs more, and so. But I do like that camera a lot, yeah.
What do you charge for a shoot?
I mean, there's different packages based on what you're looking for. There's commercial versus private use. Private use would include like social media for a model or something like that. But we're pretty mid-range. We range from, you know, short shoot for $500 to a couple days, you know, or a day shoot for, you know, around $2,000. And then commercially, like, it'd be quite a bit more than that if we're shooting for commercial rates. But that just depends on what the client's looking for, and so that really ranges. It's super individual.
So, can you tell me more about the commercial rates?
Contact me and tell me what you're looking for, and I can give you all the information. It really just depends. You know, it can be $2,000 or $2,500 for the day. Usually, probably low end is $2,500 for the day. But that's super basic, you know. High end, you know, you'd be looking at putting together production that's $60,000, $70,000. It just depends on what the client needs and what it's for. So, yeah, it's so many different variables that go into figuring that out.
Like what?
Are they providing models? Am I providing models? Hair and makeup? What is it used regionally? Is it used nationally? Is it used internationally? What's it for? You know, so I mean, we don't even have time to get into all that. That's going to take all day to try and do something. It's not even interesting. There's a lot that goes into like figuring out commercial use. Like, how long are the rights for? Is it limited rights? Is it a buyout? Like, yeah, there's a lot.
Follow the Moti on Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat.